50% of their inventory is actually new equipment, and it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play it against sports at 48th and Vine.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740. Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. Real stories, powerful insights, and weekly inspiration to help you rise above life's challenges. Let's lift off with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Lincoln, Nebraska. It's officially a beautiful day now. So happy to be here with you today. Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket. And, I have an amazing guest here today. And I just, first of all, want to send a quick shout out before we get started and before I give her flowers here on the air. Shout out to the people who handle the electrical systems in Lincoln, Omaha, all over the state of Nebraska. Power was out this morning. I live up in Omaha between Elkhorn and Gretna, and clearly there's a lot of people that still don't have power currently. But when the power came back on this morning, I was just so grateful. And there's all these imaginary things that go on behind the scenes that we don't really think about until those things are not working anymore. And so shout out to all the people that are out there working and trying to get things back together, the utilities people who are going to be out cutting some trees down and everything today. Thank you for what you do for everyone and keeping folks safe and everything else. I hope people are safe today and that, didn't have too much damage from the storm. Okay, so that's the gratitude that I'll start with this morning. And now, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, an Emmy-winning, top-performing, absolute energy in the room filling individual is in this studio today, and we're going to talk a little bit today about her journey. And I just want everybody out there in my wonderful audience across the world, because this is global, right? To put your hands together for Julie Uribe. She's in the studio with me. How are you doing today, Julie?
Wow, thank you so much. I've been really looking forward to this.
Absolutely. I'm just happy to have you here, and I'm happy to have you here on the air with me. And we get to talk to a lot of people today and share your story. And so just so you all know, Julie has a very unique story from Lincoln, Nebraska, all the way out to Hollywood and a lot of different stops in between. And now she's back. And it's just awesome to have you here on the show today. So, Julie, the way we usually start on this show is I ask people a very specific question. And that specific question that I'm going to ask you is, can you tell us about where your name came from? Why is your first name Julie? And is your first name Julie? Because some people don't go by their first name, they go by middle name. But tell me why you go by Julie.
It's a great question. It is my first name. I had a mom that worked in the home.
Mm-hmm.
So grateful to have. I ate lunch with my mom every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But lunch, I would come home from school till I was in junior high. And that is so rare. I don't know very many people that could say that.
Yeah.
And my mom watched daytime soap operas.
Okay.
And in the late 50s, early 60s, Julie became a popular name.
Okay.
Julie Andrews.
Yes, I remember Julie Andrews.
You know,
Yeah.
Julie Christie. And there was a character on that she liked named Julie. So there you go.
So that's who she named you after, was a character on one of the soap operas that she
On a
watched.
daytime soap opera.
Oh my goodness. Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, so the name Julie, can you tell me if that's something that you've enjoyed over the course of your life, having the name Julie? Is it something you like as your name?
You know, it's always felt very comfortable. I know there have been people that just, you know, are like, wow, I know that's my name.
Yes.
But it wasn't a fit.
Okay.
And it's just, for me, it felt happy and something familiar, always felt familiar. So, you know, and it was a great, you know, when I'd get called for dinner, it was Julie. So I could hear all that, you know, it was always, "Ooh." So it had a nice ring to it. But yeah, I've been comfortable.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you know, there's a lot in a name. And so, you know, I like to ask people, that's how we get started. It brings back some memories, right? Just kind of makes you think a little bit. So that's where we start. So it sounds like, you know, for the first part of your life, you spent a lot of time with your mom.
I did.
And, you know, she was home and able to take care of you and your siblings. And tell us about that early part of where you were growing up. Where were you growing up? Where did you grow up?
Well, you know, I was born in a house at 41st and L,
Mhm.
you know, not far from, most people know Woods Pool.
Absolutely.
But my earliest memory is when we moved out to Wedgwood.
Okay.
Those houses were built in the early 60s. I remember very clearly, because we also have some home movies, that we moved after New Year's, and it was one of those record storms, the kinds of drifts that I haven't seen since coming back to Lincoln. You know, I lived in Los Angeles and then moving back 9 years ago.
Yeah.
The kind of drifts that were, you know, top of our roof.
Yes.
Okay. It was that. So I remember that winter very, very well. And I remember my brother and sister were 8 and 9 years older. So they were away at school. I didn't school. So the story goes, you know, I was kind of trapped in the house. It was a new neighborhood.
Yeah.
All the kids. And apparently I said to my mom, on the first nice day,
Yeah.
I'm going to walk up and down the street and find some friends. And
Wow.
Apparently that's what I did.
That's what you did.
I'm a little bit, I don't know if my parents were embarrassed, or certainly the moms on the other side of the ding dong. Hi, I'm Julie. Do you have any kids? So that was an early memory of, you know, just the need to connect with people. That's been part of my DNA. And if I had to start knocking on doors,
Right.
Apparently I've been willing to do that since day one.
That's awesome that you tell that story, because you guys, what I can tell you is that the first time I met Julie, like, first of all, her personality can fill an entire space. And so if she's in a space, you know it, you know, just your personality has a presence to it. And, you know, you're a very friendly person, you know, everybody knows you. And so it sounds like that's been consistent since you were young. And, you know, being stuck in the house because of that winter storm and in a new neighborhood and everything, you're just like, you know what, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to find my social network. And I'm going to start building it.
It's just, it was very, we use this word now a lot, but it was very intentional.
I see.
It was
awesome.
Always very intentional. And so, yes, I was very close to both my parents. We had that dinner with everyone, but I was really alone with my folks from about 11, 12 years on. My brother and sister got married and they moved out. So we really were a 3-legged table.
Gotcha.
For my growing up here in Lincoln.
That's awesome. So you grow up here in Lincoln, and, you know, give us a bit of history just on the era that was happening in Lincoln at that time. So are we talking then the 70s time frame that you're growing up in Lincoln?
I love that you said that. It was the 60s.
Okay. All right. It's always good to be wrong on the other side, right? You know? So you're growing up in the 60s. And what was it like in the 60s in Lincoln?
It was very much a newer neighborhood. It was blue collar.
Okay.
Working middle class neighborhood. we didn't want for anything, but
Uh-huh.
we did not. I remember one story. My dad was a bricklayer for 50 years. And I remember once, and he worked often 6, 7 days a week. If
Okay.
he followed it, because sometimes in the winter,
Uh-huh.
there'd be months where he didn't work. There were 5 brothers. My dad was born and raised in the bottoms, over by
Mm-hmm. The North Bottoms?
the North Bottoms, over by the Devaney Center.
Okay.
And there were 12, and there were 5 brothers, and they were all bricklayers here in town.
Wow.
So, if you really had to go when the work was happening, spring, summer, and fall, because sometimes, maybe they'd pour a basement. So I remember really wanting one of those bikes with the banana seat,
Yes.
and that was pink and white and purple with the streamers coming out. I remember saying to my mom, "Boy, it's Saturday. Where's Daddy?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why isn't he home?" And she went, "Well, that bike you wanted the other day? Yeah. Well, he's working an extra job to get you that bike."
Oh,
and
wow.
It was like, oh,
Mm.
I see.
Yeah.
So, I have so much gratitude
Yeah.
for my parents. They came from that generation where they wanted to make it easier for
Yeah.
their kids. Education was everything. Both my parents went to Lincoln High. My mom graduated, had a freshman year under her belt at UNL, but my dad quit school
Okay.
basically after 9th grade to
Oh, wow.
lay brick and support the family that was still in the home.
I see. Okay.
So very much, had an adult life from about 14 years
Oh,
of age
14.
on.
Wow.
Until he met my mother and was married. They eloped when they were 18 and 19. He didn't know when it was his birthday. He'd never
Mhm.
had a birthday cake. Getting married was the first time he slept in a bed with only one person. There would be 3 or 4 people. So,
Wow.
when people say, "Oh, my folks were really poor,"
Mm-hmm.
my father did. Uh, they really did not have a lot. They had a couple chickens for eggs, but they did eat beans and rice every day.
Wow. So, and that was really the pedigree that your father came from, and then had the opportunity to help you and your siblings really take a step up, right? And
Correct.
I think building this foundation and understanding where, you came from, and just understanding that blue collar approach. And, it's great, this story you tell about where's Dad, because I think when we're young, we're always wondering what's going on here. Why am I always with this one parent, perhaps, if the other one's always working?
Exactly.
And it was neat that your mom was able to really make that connection for you. And we'll bring this buzzword back in a very intentional way, because you're still dreaming of that bike. And she's like,
It's true. I'll never forget that moment. It
Yeah.
was like, ooh.
wow,
Ooh.
like, okay, now I understand it, right? You
Mhm.
have to do extra for me to have extra, right?
Exactly.
So, well, that's great that you, at such an early age, were able to make those connections, because I think for a lot of kids, they don't make those connections early on. And then later in life, they're sitting in a counseling office, and they're trying to work through some things. And they're like, my parents were never around. It's like, well, they had to help you survive, right? And so you made that connection from an early age. So you're in Lincoln, and you have now established this great social network on your street in the
It's
Wedgwood
true.
neighborhood, right?
It's true.
And so tell me about the crew you're running it with. And I don't need to know names, but just how many of you were there, and what types of things were you all doing back then?
It was magical.
Mm.
It was a time of slumber parties, theme parties. I was nominated for the best theme party. So very early on, again, I was who I was early on. It was, okay, we're going to do 50s rock around the clock. Everybody get some poodle skirts, and
Nice.
we're going to play, all
Yeah.
those old 50s, get saddle shoes from your mom and everything. So it was slumber parties and summer camps and swimming, and really an idyllic, and there's a group if anyone's listening, shout out to our Pirtles Girls group. We still get together several times a year
Oh, wow.
of girls, of women that I've known since I was 4 and 5 years old.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
I feel really lucky to have that, that group of ladies as a touchstone, as an anchor.
Yeah.
There's no BS in the room
Yeah.
when people have known you
That's
since
right.
you're 4 or 5.
That's right. That's right.
There-
There's some accountability in that space.
big time, big
Yeah.
time. Yeah, we all know each other.
That's awesome.
It's
That's
a
awesome.
long way from a cocktail party in Hollywood. I'll tell you that.
Gotcha. Which, folks, as you listen to this story, and right now we're just talking about Julie growing up in Lincoln and establishing her social network, understanding where she sits in the social space from so many different angles. And then she mentions the Hollywood cocktail party, right? And so that is a part of her story and her journey that we will get to, is this concept that, to come from Lincoln, Nebraska and end up out in Hollywood in these spaces where there's a significant amount of glitz and glamour and all the stuff that's going on, and to come from Lincoln and the blue collar background that she talked about, and to get to that space, that is quite a distance in so many different ways. And so, Julie will talk about how she kind of moves to that space. But Julie, I want you to tell me, from your perspective now, as you look back on it, as you're thinking about growing up again, and, some of us, we fully understand this idea of birth order and having siblings in the house or not in the house and everything else. But what was it like for you to somewhat grow up as like an only child in that space, right? Because that's essentially what it was, right? I mean, you said 11 forward, you're there by yourself with your family. What was that like for you to grow up as an only child?
That's a great question, and I've spent a lot of time in therapy talking about that. When you are born into, and again, my brother and sister were essentially 8 and 9. I don't think my arrival
Mhm.
was that fantastic for them.
I see.
They
Yeah.
were, they had a boy and a girl, and 8 and 9, baby things are out. And then here I come. And as my mom described it, she went to the doctor's office and goes, "Oh my God, I'm pregnant? How did that happen?" And the doctor apparently said, I think you know. I think you know. So I was always felt that it would behoove me if I was funny and cool
Mhm.
and hip. And so always wanted to impress,
I see.
an older crowd.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I know that informs some of my relationship choices early on, because I was born into a family of 4 adults.
I see.
But by the time I have a memory,
Mhm.
I'm living with mom and dad and 2 teenagers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm looking at my brother and sister who are, rock and roll,
Yeah.
filled with angst. Why can't I get the car? I
Yes.
was had a front row seat to teenage narratives.
That makes sense.
And
That
I
makes
stay
sense.
out late and I always remember a lot of my childhood was I would hear 4 adults going, "Psst, psst, 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 don't tell Julie."
Right.
Because I was this little person.
Right.
And I think once, 5th or 6th grade, I really was able to flourish because I was no longer self-conscious that I was this, what's the word, little nerd in someone's way,
Mhm.
get out of my room.
Mhm.
And I often say I got into sales
I see.
because I was always selling myself early on.
Mhm.
Let me be in the room. Let me
Right.
join you and your friends. How
Right.
can I help?
I see.
So I think from a very early age, I was walking into rooms essentially with the proverbial fruit basket going,
Right.
like me.
Yes.
And so I see that now. I embrace that.
Yes.
And later in my career, when I was walking into a door trying to sell $1 million TV show,
Right.
I knew what that felt like
Mhm.
to walk into a room that was not necessarily welcoming or wanting what I had to sell.
That makes sense.
So
That makes sense.
I think back in all that history, and I'm sure everyone can make that connection. We're still learning from,
Right.
reconciling,
Absolutely.
grappling with those years, really from 0 to 6.
Absolutely.
Is my belief. That's my take.
Yeah.
What do I know?
And, I guess it just kind of depends on how people reconcile that, right? Some people choose professions that help them reconcile that. Some people get into relationships that help them reconcile that.
Mhm.
But it's amazing that you can really think back to the beginning of when you felt that way and how you dealt with that feeling. And,
Mhm.
you said something about hearing the whispers and don't tell Julie. And so sometimes when we're young or we're in spaces and there's things that are going on that are much more advanced or mature and people
For
don't want us
sure.
to know, here's the thing. You don't necessarily know what's going on, but you feel every aspect of it.
Correct.
Right. So there could be some challenging things. There could be some tension between people. You feel that as a child. And so to have that access and not necessarily have the context puts you in a very unique position. But we also get very good during those times of knowing how to avoid certain things. Right. You understand the eggshells that you have to walk on. You understand, okay, something's not right here. And my young brain knows that. So it really does put you in a position of maturity from a very early
Early,
age.
you walk into a room and you go, I don't know exactly what's going on. There's some tension. There's a narrative that I'm not privy to. So I need to quickly read the players,
Yes.
read the room.
Yes.
Because we all have our agenda. I
That's
have
right.
an agenda.
That's right.
So I look back at that training
Yes.
of my childhood that overall was so positive and so nurturing. But we all have challenges, right?
Absolutely.
We all have those challenges that I think I look back now and I'm grateful for,
Absolutely.
because I had to problem solve.
From a very early age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all do.
We do,
And
yeah.
so it's not if the rough times are coming.
Yeah.
It's when.
That's right.
And how do we approach that? And life's a journey, right? It's just getting better and better at balance, at
Yes.
problem solving,
Yes.
at if you read a memoir often of somebody later, 70s, 80s, and they always go, what would you tell your 20, 30,
That's right.
40-year-old self?
That's right.
And typically what you'll hear is, boy, I wish I didn't worry
Yep.
as much.
As much. Yeah.
Over and over and over. And you hear that.
Yes.
Boy, I was stressed. And now I can't remember why, but I remember my world was coming to an end.
Right.
And that's where I'm at now. Wow, I'm outing myself in my early 60s. That's what I keep remembering. What
Yeah.
was the world coming to an end 10 years ago?
That's right.
20, 30. Don't remember.
Right.
So let's take a step back. And I'll tell you, that has been one of the biggest gifts at growing old, is just getting more zen. Because the number one killer
Mm-hmm.
is stress.
Absolutely. And we can all find something to be stressed out about.
Yeah.
And regardless of where you are in the journey of, experiencing whatever decade you're in, and this is for our younger listeners out there and people who are in their middle and even latter ages, you can always find something to be stressed about. And I think that, like you said, as you look back on those times, what you realize is that for the most part, those things were likely somewhat out of your control. Unfortunately, you were in a situation where you had no idea that later on in life, things were going to get better or things could have potentially gotten worse. And so most of the time we spend a lot of time and energy worried about these things, and we need to find some perspective and try to refocus ourselves on the very positive things that we can find in our life that bring us happiness and joy. And so that's one of the things that my guest today, ladies and gentlemen, Julie Uribe, always brings to a space now that I met her, is she brings joy, and she does bring the proverbial fruit basket into a space, which has something for everyone, right? And so I think it's interesting to hear about the foundation of that, though, and the roots, and why that was important for you early on in your life, and how your training as you were growing up and being exposed to these mature things around you prepared you for the boardroom. And we'll talk more about that Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we have Julie Uribe here on the show, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to The Law of Lift.
Hi, I'm Casey Oddie, and I'm the Retail Banking Manager at your local Midwest Bank branch on 70th and Pioneers Boulevard. Banking may be my job, but supporting the community is what I care most about. Whether I'm showing up at local events, partnering with schools, or helping people reach financial milestones, I am proud to be a part of what makes Lincoln strong. Let's build something together. Stop by and say hi. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Member FDIC.
When only the best will do. Sartor Heyman Jewelers.
Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. Visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at SartorHeyman.com.
Sartor Heyman Jewelers.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job,
not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity, not to make friends, but just to get something to eat? Or a retiree who fell ill and had to choose
between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hungered in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
I think it's just vapor. Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
One vape pod has as much nicotine as 1 pack of cigarettes.
My kid
knows it's dangerous. 5.4 million American kids vape, and most think it's harmless. Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org. That's talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
If you're a veteran, our nation has created a wide range of benefits to thank you for your service. But it can be difficult to navigate the process of determining eligibility, filing claims, appealing decisions, and securing the benefits you've earned. Speak to your County Veteran Service Officer or the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs State Service Office to see what's available to you and your family. These services are 100% free. So visit veterans.nebraska.gov today. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Play ball! Ready for summer fun and ballpark vibes? Bring your pack to Haymarket Park for a thrilling season of Lincoln Salt Dogs baseball and unleash the fun. from May through August, the Lincoln Salt Dogs will be playing and the park will be popping with all the food, drinks, and fun you need for the perfect night out. Grab your friends, family, and coworkers and make plans now. Visit saltdogs.com to secure your tickets. Come on out to the park and unleash the fun.
We've been hunting these fields north of Kearney since high school. My buddy Ryan has always been my wingman, the life of the party. But I saw a change, and he got really down. Talked about his life being worthless.
If you know someone who's struggling, talk to them about temporarily storing their guns away from their home. Taking care of friends and neighbors. It's what we do in Nebraska. Paid for by the University of Nebraska Public Policy Center, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Ah, the sounds of back to school time.
Oh.
There's plenty to about this time of year. So let Cane's take something off your plate by putting something on it. Like the most craveable hand-battered cooked-to-order chicken fingers and cane sauce. It's going to be a great school year.
Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love. Now back to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Lincoln, Nebraska. It's a beautiful day. You're driving down O Street. If you happen to be looking in here in the studio, hi, good to see you. I'm in the studio today with Julie Uribe. She is currently a professor at the university, teaching some courses, extraordinary resume, extraordinary experiences. But right now we're talking about the foundation of it all. We're talking about really what got her to where she is over the course of her life and some of the unique challenges she faced early on and how she adapted. And adapting is important in life. And so we're back to, just talking about growing up in Lincoln. And Julie, tell us, when did you start thinking about what you wanted to do in your life? You talked a little bit about the early years of being, young and trying to figure out where your place to fit in and within your family was. But when did you start thinking about what you wanted to do as a career? And where did that come from for you?
Lawrence, I got lucky. It was early. I was doing plays and TV shows in the house, in the classroom, very early on. I had a strong sense that I wanted to work in television, film, entertainment. I didn't even know what that meant exactly.
Yeah.
We would put on plays in the backyard, haunted houses, and then in intermission, I'd run and get candy, and I guess that's where my producer hat would come on.
Yes.
But this is happening at 8, 9, 10 years old.
Okay.
I remember thinking, I never had fantasies about being a mom, even though that I had this incredible mother who was, home cooked meals, baking, sewing costumes and everything. And I remember thinking, that shift is not for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how there was a huge gap. I didn't know how I was one of those kids that watched too much television.
Okay.
Luckily, I figured out a way to make money
right
out of my vice. Okay?
Exactly. Like professional video game players, right?
Professional, exactly. It's like,
right.
You watch too much television. It's like, well, okay.
You needed that. That was you
chill.
Training.
The kind of household where if you put your hand on top of the TV at the end of the day, it would be hot.
Okay.
Yeah. So I knew very early, I knew, how do I get to Hollywood? How do I get to New York? I don't think I want to, I knew I wanted to get married, but I never had that fantasy of, family van, 2.3 kids, married to the architect.
Gotcha.
Okay. That was never in my fantasy playing Barbies.
Okay.
It was always,
you were the director, you're a producer.
Yeah.
Right?
Barbie's, starring in her own show.
Yes.
So I had a lot of clarity, which was tricky because in the 60s and 70s and in the early 80s, to say you wanted to go to New York and Hollywood, while today is not that shocking with social media. Of course, I'm going to go to school here. I'm going to take this workshop here.
Right.
It was not the norm and very frightening.
I see.
I think to my parents. And by the way, if I had a child now and they said they wanted to go to Hollywood, I would be scared to death.
I see.
So there was this, I knew what I wanted to do. I didn't know how to get there.
I see.
So I did go to UNL, had a great experience here in
Okay.
the theater department.
Okay.
Was the lead in all the plays, had fantastic instructors. And then my parents said, great, follow your dream, but will you get your master's so you can always teach?
Oh, wow. Okay. So tell me this.
Yeah.
How did your parents have the insight to know that you should do that when neither of them had a degree?
I don't know.
Wow.
I think they saw it
Uh-huh.
from such an early age, and they saw my burning desire. And I think they just didn't know what to do with it.
I see.
I think they often said, who is this child and where did she come from? Right?
Right.
Kind of in a good way.
In a good way,
kind
yeah.
of in a frightened
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
We
yeah.
just don't know what to do. So I said, okay, I went a year to grad school, Kansas City initially, got accepted to this fantastic program at Rutgers, which would have been right outside of New York. But I met an acting teacher while I was waiting to go to graduate school on the East Coast and said, you should be in LA, blah, 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 face
Yeah.
for television, sitcoms, et cetera, et cetera. And I called my parents, and it's a phone call I remember well.
Yes. Yes.
I don't have it in me for the classroom. I want to take all my clothes, throw it in the back seat of my car, and drive to Hollywood. And they said, okay, and
Yeah.
drove with me. So
Oh my goodness.
there you go.
So you come back from is Piscataway, right? Is that where
I
Rutgers
was in
was,
DC,
or you were in New Brunswick?
kind of
or
waiting.
okay.
I was in DC waiting to waitressing,
Oh
waiting
my
to
goodness.
start my East Coast graduate career, and came back here, regrouped for a couple weeks, and
And then you drive out west.
drive out west. Don't have a plan. Don't know anyone. Kids, if you're listening at home, this is not a solid strategy.
Right.
But it's under the heading of you don't know what you don't know.
That's right. That's right.
So it was, you burst on, you take classes, you meet people. It's lonely. It's scary.
Yeah.
And I was out of my depth.
Oh my
for
goodness.
Sure.
So give me some historical context. What year would that have been that you're postgraduate, kind of ready to head out
So
to
this is 1986.
1986? Okay.
1986.
Okay.
And I got into improv right away at the Groundlings. The Groundlings is where Will Ferrell, Kristen Wiig,
Oh my goodness.
Lisa Kudrow graduated from there right before she got Friends and other things. So it was a place where I knew other people had gone and found success. So I started improvising and other acting classes, fell into my SAG card. It's the kind of thing where you move out to LA and go, okay, you need your union card. Okay,
Gotcha.
great. How do I do that? Will you work a union job? Great. How do I do that? Well, you have to have your union card.
You're like, wait a minute
So,
here.
It's a catch-22.
It's a catch-22, yes.
You've got to have your union card to work a union job, but the only way to get, so you see where I'm going with this. So you
Absolutely.
figure it out.
You figure it out. And so
figure it
for folks out there, and a lot of people don't really fully understand kind of the whole union component of the acting industry. And so SAG, I'm assuming, is the Screen Actors Guild.
Mhm. Which is now also after it combined.
I see. So
American Federation.
American.
of
Okay.
Television.
So, for you all out there listening, like there's this whole level, there's these levels of credentials that you need because there's certain, bargaining that's happened for the contracts, and there's lots of lawyers involved in all these different things out in California because there's a lot of money. And anywhere there's a lot of money, there's a lot of restrictions and red tape, and for the most part, but there's also other aspects of things that are happening. And so, Julie, how do you get to a point where you finally did get your card and you were able to work in those spaces, and how did you learn how to do those things?
You have to be a little bit scrappy. I found out through a gal I met, there was this acting teacher in the Valley, in the San Fernando Valley, and he was a film director. And if he liked you, he would put you in the film and get you your union card.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And I thought, okay, so it's a risk. You're paying, obviously, to take classes.
Yes.
And it happened to work out for me.
Wow.
He made a movie, and I got my screen card from that particular teacher. So you go through the odyssey of agents here and there.
Yes.
I found spotty intermittent success. A little soap opera guest star here, a sitcom
Yeah.
spot here, Family Matters, Step by Step. It's here and there. I think there was one year, I think I was 29 years old, and there was one year where I supported myself as a performer without other jobs. So
wow.
And of course, if you do that, you're like in the 1% of the
Right.
union. So it's all hard.
Yes.
It's all scary. You're always doing other jobs. I did everything from working in a tanning salon, and I didn't tan, to taught comedy traffic school. And I'm not a great driver. So you do whatever you can to pay the bills. I got married very quickly when I went out there.
Okay.
Was lonely, and I met a very nice person, of course, from the Midwest. You move all the way from
To
Nebraska, and who
California.
do you meet?
Right.
You meet a nice guy from Ohio, and very talented musician, had found some early success himself. He was a keyboard player. He toured with the Beach Boys. He was now working in television, film composing. I had let him know that, I wanted to pursue a life as an artist. And although you'll see me around children and I love kids,
Yes.
that being a mom was not for me.
Right.
He was older, and he admitted later that he thought he could readjust my thinking.
I
And
see.
so a few years into the marriage, he was like, okay, let's start our family. And I went, wait a minute. I was very truthful anyway. So I knew very quickly I didn't have it in me to make that relationship work for the next 50 years.
I see.
So that ended.
And so can you tell me, just from what you were seeing around you and other people finding their success out in that space, because this is one of the things that, I haven't heard a lot about, talked about, but were there other women who were out there up and coming at that younger age who were finding success and also having children, or not?
I personally didn't see it.
Right.
If they did have children, there were always hard decisions to make.
I see.
I can't take that job because I can't get my kids covered, or you do see a lot where choices are made to whether it's the other spouse or nannies or different things, and I see it done.
Yeah.
To different degrees of success.
I see.
But there's all working mothers, whether you're in entertainment or banking,
Right.
there are, if you're a woman,
Yes.
or a person, and one of the, whether it's two women, two men, if somebody usually needs to take that primary role.
Yeah.
Typically.
That makes sense. And so yeah, we're continuing to hear from Julie Uribe today. Right now, she's telling us about her journey from the Midwest out to Hollywood and all of the things that she learned in that process. And, at the, we'll get to the bottom of this hour, but then the top of the next, we'll continue talking about Julie's journey. And again, as you talk about all these pieces and you put things together, it's just amazing to see how this life that you have at this point was built over the course of all these years, and all the learning lessons and all the adaptions that you had to make. And so it's been wonderful to hear your story so far, and we look forward to continuing to hear from you. So ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back here on 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters and Julie Uribe in the studio today.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
The community is what I care most about. Whether I'm showing up at local events, partnering with schools, or helping people reach financial milestones, I am proud to be a part of what makes Lincoln strong. Let's build something together. Stop by and say hi. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Member FDIC.
Looking for a fun way to give back? Join us for the 2025 Kicks for Kids Nebraska Fun Run Walk, presented by Pinnacle Bank, on Saturday, August 23rd at James Arthur Vineyard. Enjoy a scenic 5K through beautiful grounds. Every step helps provide shoes to kids in Lincoln and Lancaster County schools, with options for adults, wine included, and kids. Registration fees include a t-shirt, medal, and bag. Sign up today and make a difference at kicksforkidsnebraska.org.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for Ready Mixed Concrete in Lincoln. With 3 plants across the city, there are plenty of opportunities to start or grow your driving career. They offer great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and they cover the cost of CDL training. Apply today and receive a $2,500 hiring bonus. Since 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today with Ready Mixed Concrete. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
If the power is out, keep your fridge and freezer closed. Perishable food lasts 4 hours in the fridge, and frozen food lasts up to 2 days if it stays below 40 degrees. See more tips at les.com/safety.
Ready for summer fun and ballpark vibes? Bring your pack to Haymarket Park for a thrilling season of Lincoln Salt Dogs baseball and unleash the fun. From May through August, the Lincoln Salt Dogs will be playing and the park will be popping with all the food, drinks, and fun you need for the perfect night out. Grab your friends, family, and coworkers and make plans now. Visit saltdogs.com to secure your tickets. Come on out to the park and unleash the fun.
Hey racing fans, this is Brie Marie inviting you to join me and James Rowland for the Finish Line every Sunday night from 7 to 8 p.m. Catch up with the local dirt track drivers, national racers, and everyone you need to know about in the world of racing. Don't spin your wheels, hit the gas, and join us Sundays at 7 p.m. for the Finish Line on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids. First, I hold my hands out like they're on a steering wheel. Then I look over my shoulder. Next, I put it in reverse. Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Now back to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You're back listening to the Law of Lift today. Beautiful Saturday in Lincoln, Nebraska. 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Dr. Lawrence Chatters, and I have Julie Uribe in the studio with me today, telling us about her journey and what a unique journey it is. And so far, you know, I'm just thinking about, honestly, as we were going through the break, I was just thinking about the confidence it had to take for you to just, you know, leave graduate school and say, Mom, Dad, I need to go to LA. And
I appreciate confidence is one word.
Yeah. That's what we call it now. We call it
is that
confidence,
what we
right?
call
Right.
it?
But of course,
Insanity.
Yeah,
comes
exactly.
to mind.
Yes, exactly. And so, Julie, you've talked a little bit about the early years out in LA and just really coming to a better understanding of what you needed to do to be successful. And the fact that sometimes you guys, as you are going through these tough times where you're making transitions and you're trying to figure out how you're going to step up in a new space, you really do have to see things that may not be evident. You have to understand things that may not be evident. You learn, you adapt, you ask lots of questions, you try to figure out the things that are unsaid, right? And so remember, Julie, as we thought back and we were talking a little bit about your youth, you had to start doing that from an early age. You had to read a room. You had to understand what was happening. You had to make adjustments, right? And so you continued to lean into those skills that you had out in LA. And it was great to hear about, you being able to support yourself for that year that you talked about and all the other things that you were doing, teaching and working and all the different things that, you had to do to make it. But tell us just a little bit more about what was it that became fairly evident to you about the culture of where you were and being out in the LA Hollywood area. What was the culture like out there when you were out there in around 1986?
Just such a great question. And as I sit here today, wow, it just feels like another planet. You leave a small town and whatever, if you want to call it, a big fish,
Yeah.
I was a cheerleader leading the plays and then in college and you go, okay, LA, here I am. And it's crickets. And then the next year it's crickets. So it's a rude awakening.
Yeah.
Like I said, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And very quickly you also realize, wow, I'm the only one, or it felt like it.
Yes.
It felt like I was the only one that didn't understand how the entertainment industry worked. I didn't know anyone. You get in classes and you meet kids of other famous people.
I see.
So there's that.
Yeah.
There's that right away. Oh, there's Jane Berlin's son. Oh,
Yes.
I'm in a class with Rita Wilson and she's married to Tom Hanks. So you already feel at a deficit.
I see.
Yeah. And it's scary because you go, wow, they're connected and they're taking the same classes I am.
Right.
So how does that work? So it's a combination of perseverance and passion and I don't even know. There's a certain just a willingness to march forward in the face of failure every day. So I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
It for me it was, I know I can't work in a bank.
Yes.
I have to be creative. So I started realizing my dream. I didn't have to give up on my dream, but fortunately, when I turned around early 30s, I started seeing my dream could actually expand, shift. I talk about this with my students. It's like, I'm not giving up on acting.
Right.
But I'm an artist, right?
Right.
So what does that look like? Well, I became a writer and a producer for shows like Animal Planet or TLC. And boy, did I love it. Because to an actor, you kind of have to get a job
Yes.
to do that job.
Yes.
And there was a lot of opportunity at the time for more serious documentaries. And I loved it. I absolutely loved dropping into a town, picking up a local crew.
Yes.
And hey, we're going to meet with John McCain and do a segment on the 25th anniversary of Vietnam.
That's
Well,
amazing.
I'm going to drop in the middle of an elephant sanctuary in Little Rock, Arkansas, and watch an elephant being born. And you haven't lived until you've witnessed an elephant water breaking.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. So all of a sudden, when I was open
Yes.
to expanding my dream instead of looking at it as giving up,
Yes.
I took off.
That's
My
when
world
things,
opened up.
that's when you took off. I love that metaphor because we're here on the Law of Lift, ladies and gentlemen. And when we come back at the top of next hour, you're going to hear about a fateful
Everything
call.
changed.
When everything changed for Julia Uribe. It's Dr. Lawrence Chatters, 93.7 The Ticket, the Law of Lift.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. Visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at SartorHeyman.com.
Sartor Heyman Jewelers.
To win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Looking for a fun way to give back? Join us for the 2025 Kicks for Kids Nebraska Fun Run Walk, presented by Pinnacle Bank. On Saturday, August 23rd at James Arthur Vineyard. Enjoy a scenic 5K through beautiful grounds. Every step helps provide shoes to kids in Lincoln and Lancaster County schools, with options for adults, wine included, and kids. Registration fees include a t-shirt, medal, and bag. Sign up today and make a difference at kicksforkidsnebraska.org.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine. When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old-fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. Real stories, powerful insights, and weekly inspiration to help you rise above life's challenges. Let's lift off with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
I love that intro because it's, helping people overcome life's challenges and telling inspirational stories. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a wonderful guest in the studio with us today. We're spending some time with Julie Uribe. And, she currently works as a professor at the university and does so many different things, does a lot of volunteer work. I've worked with her on the Friends of the Lead event on a yearly basis for the last few years, and just see how much she cares about the arts. And we talk a lot about the arts and the importance of the arts. And right now, she's telling us about her journey and her story of leaving here in Lincoln, Nebraska, going out to Hollywood and becoming extremely successful out in a very, I guess you can call it cutthroat space. And just what she has had to understand and learn while she was in that process. And one of the things that you mentioned that has been fairly consistent as I've talked to people across the board is this idea of leaving where you are, going somewhere new, feeling so happy to get there and knowing that you have so much talent. And then you get there and no one cares.
Oh.
And that is something that is so challenging to feel, is this idea that here I am, I have all this talent, I can do all these wonderful things, but nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Or you walk into a room and there are 1,000 people that look just like you.
Wow.
Only better. It was like, wait a minute.
You're like, wait a minute.
So yeah, it's really a test. It's interesting talking about it today because you're sorting out your life,
Yes.
as we do, relationships,
Absolutely.
paying bill, life, right? The
Yes.
practicality. And then at the same time, you're pursuing this passion that is really kind of like winning the lottery. And so you have to, you're always fighting against not my parents so much. They were always so supportive in the face of so little success in the beginning, and just saying, keep at it, keep at it. And so that's why for me, my parents are my idols. They are, I'm sure they would get off the phone with me and go, boy, because I didn't become a writer, producer until about 10 years.
Okay. So you were out there for 10 years doing the acting thing and trying to
Yeah.
find your way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So if you look at it for 30 years, I was there 30 years performing, pursuing a career with, as I said, intermittent success.
Yes.
In front of the camera for 10 years. And then the writing, producing, that happens by accident,
Mm-hmm.
but where you just yes and it.
Mhm.
I had the opportunity to make more money than I was making in anything else.
I see.
And then I quickly realized this is the same skill set.
I see.
I'm still acting because
Yes.
I'm directing,
Yes.
I'm coordinating. And I find out it's really satisfying and fascinating. And I start to travel not only around the country, but around the world.
Wow. Okay. So your
So-
scenery's changing,
So
and
my
I think
scenery is changing. It's opening up. And by this time too, I'm with my who's my current husband. His name's Tom Rakovich. And I started dating Tom at the time. And I started seeing how, when people go, how do you know you're with the right person?
Yes.
They truly support you
Yes.
and let you be the best version of yourself. I hate to sound like a Hallmark card,
That's okay.
but
if it's true.
I really do attribute Tom because he was not envious. He wasn't threatened. He was truly a teammate. And I don't know that I had that
I see.
in my personal relationship prior to meeting Tom.
That's amazing. That's great to hear. And it sounds like you needed that because you were doing a lot of traveling. You were really just all over the place. And at the same time, you had someone who was supportive of you. And
To have a trusted
Yes.
mate.
that's amazing.
And so that was just such a fantastic period. It was before a little bit of the reality. And by reality, I mean Survivor, Big Brother,
Yes.
Idol, Dancing with Stars. It was more of the traditional
Yes.
documentary,
Okay.
where I'd go into a surgery.
Oh,
room
wow. Okay.
And witness and document, life-saving brain surgery.
Wow. Okay.
Right. So it was just really, really fascinating. Or produce top 10 hotels in the world.
Okay.
Where, you'd go to Europe and go, yeah, I'll choose France. Come on, Tom.
Seriously. Wow.
Let's go
Wow.
to Paris.
Oh my
And
goodness.
produce the Hotel Crillon, which was the last castle hotel in Paris. So just really interesting things. And I built myself up
Yes.
to be the highest I could come in a boutique company.
I
So
see.
the only one higher was the owner.
Okay.
So what do
Wow.
we know about that in a business, whether you're, whatever you're doing?
Right.
There's probably nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go because
There's
the
nowhere to
owner's
go.
not going to leave.
It's comfortable.
That's right.
It's comfortable.
Absolutely.
So by this time, comfortable paycheck. But there's still, I had come to this work late, but I felt that there was somewhere to go. Again,
Mm-hmm.
in life, we all go, I'm at B, I want to be at A.
That's
How do I
right.
get there?
How do you get there?
There's no roadmap.
Right.
So you say to yourself, I have to figure it out.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's where a phone call comes.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, we're here with Julie Uribe on the Law of Lift and hearing about her story and her journey and how she got out to Hollywood and had to learn so many different unsaid, unknown things, was in a space where, she was experiencing a bit of imposter syndrome, right?
Oh,
Where,
that's the perfect.
yeah, like, how did
Right.
I get here? Do I belong here? I know I don't belong here.
Oh.
And people let you know it because if they make you feel like you don't belong there, then somehow they can step ahead. It's so competitive,
It
right?
is failure with a capital. You know how when they say once you can embrace failure, you've got it made. I had a
Yes.
lot of practice
I see.
at embracing failure.
Wow. And just as you all are hearing about this and you think about those challenges that you experience in your life and when it feels like you can't string together a couple of wins, right? You can't, maybe you wake up in the morning and something happens and you just feel like the day is going to be terrible. It's something we all experience, and some people experience it in their careers, and some people experience it in their love lives. Some people experience it in their professions when it comes to making a transition to a new space, and it's not really where you should be, but you did make that switch, right? And so Julie's just talking about how she got past that point and got into the production side of things and the writing side of things, and so she was still using her creativity. And then there was the call. So Julie, tell us about the call.
I always say to my students, it's not if you get a call, it's when. And you'll get several of these calls in your
Yes.
life. And it might be, I was making a nice paycheck. I was in a great relationship. We had just bought our first house, we got married. And I could have, continued to be in this position. But a mentor told me once, good is the enemy of great. Okay.
Yes,
Things were good.
I see.
I get a call from a friend 2 companies ago. So again, this is also a life lessons about networking.
Yes.
Okay. You're meeting people. That relationship may not be meaningful today, tomorrow, even next year.
That's right.
But this phone call, I hadn't heard from this incredible producer. And she says, hey, Julie, I'm over at this company called Fremantle. Oh, what's that? Well, it's the company producing American Idol. You
Oh,
know that
wow.
show. Yeah.
Yes.
It's this summer show and it's a mean British judge and it's doing really well.
Yes.
She goes, okay, this is a British company and they want to produce more foreign formats, i.e. Survivor came from Scandinavia, Big Brother came from Holland, and they want American producers to retool these shows that have been successes elsewhere and sell them here in the States. And I said, well, I've never done that. And that's where, no is so easy.
Yes, it is.
Transferable skills. She goes, you're a producer, right? Yeah. And you know how to sell? Yeah, I guess so. She goes, that's what we need. Come on over. She goes, one thing. Your salary is going to be cut in half. Oops, that doesn't sound fun. And also, as is your title. So I'm telling you right now, big company,
Yes.
big opportunities. Or you can say a bigger fish in a boutique company.
Okay.
Slept on it and talked to my husband. I said, I don't know. This feels like a move, not a reckless move, but I'm going
Right.
to invest in myself. It was starting to be a hit show. This is 2004.
Okay. Wow.
And in 3 years, it was not only going to be the biggest show on television, but the most successful show of all time. So
and at the time,
fortunately,
you had no idea of that. None.
they couldn't sell that show. Took them 4 years to sell Idol. Finally, Rupert Murdoch's daughter, who was living in London at the time, said, Dad, this is a hit show. You should buy it for Fox.
Oh my
And he
gosh.
told Fox, okay, if you can get Coke or Chevy or whoever to pay for it, I'll put it on in the dead spot in summer. That's how that happened. So
Wow.
I said yes. And
So wait a minute though, Julie. So,
yeah, right.
Okay. Wait a minute.
Right? Right?
Wait a minute. Half the salary, half the title.
Yeah, it's not sexy.
What?
It's not sexy.
I didn't know that part of the story. So
I know.
But it was a huge company and it was a big opportunity, and you could see something that others maybe couldn't see. Like,
You know what I saw? If I stayed in the company, I knew what every day was going to look like for the foreseeable future.
I see.
And that was one reason why I always knew I wanted to be an artist.
Yes.
For whatever it is about me,
Yes.
I like the idea that every day looks different.
Different. Okay.
Now, for some people, that's not their cup of
Exactly,
tea.
right?
That's a lot of anxiety.
It is.
Um,
But that's what drives you,
but
is
I
the fact
went-
that you can do something
it
different.
was the unknown.
Wow.
And it was starting to be a hit show.
Yes.
But yeah, that pay cut in half.
Yeah.
So when I tell, I teach over at the business college. When I tell that part of the story, everybody's blood sort of goes from their
Yes.
face.
Yes.
But I had an educated guess. Okay, I'll just work harder than because I never had connections. But I always had, okay, I'm going to work harder than everybody else. So I had that. Where did I see that? My folks.
Wow. You guys, I want you to hear that again. She never had connections.
No.
In a place where
It's
you
all about
have to have connections, right? Hollywood, I mean, the industry, it's all about who you know
Mhm.
and who those people that you know and how well they know you and who you're willing to connect someone else with by them meeting you. You're always a
I only
commodity,
had one thing going for me.
which was
I'll take out the trash. I'll go to FedEx. Nobody ever wanted to go to FedEx at LAX. Okay. That was the worst.
that was like the job that was
shift.
at the bottom of the bottom.
Please, I'll go.
You'll go.
The yes, and I'll do it.
Oh, wow.
And that was one of the only things that I could bring to the table
Wow.
because I wasn't the most talented. I definitely wasn't the most connected. I didn't have a pedigree where I'd been in the business for,
Yeah.
So what do you have? You look around and you go, what can I bring to the table?
Yes.
What do I have that maybe others don't? They're busy, they have families, they have kids or whatever. Or they just don't have that. I'll raise my hand and volunteer, even though I have no clue what I'm volunteering for.
Right.
To get you in trouble. But in this case, it was very helpful. In 3 years, I was the senior vice president of the largest television production company. One of the senior vice presidents. There was more than one.
Wow.
Of Development International, at the largest television production company in North America.
Oh my goodness. And this you all, this is where for Julie, as you're listening to this story and you hear that leap of faith, you hear that leap of faith of half the salary, half the title, and 3 years later, and a lot of hard work and a lot more likely saying yes and a lot more learning and everything else. She's the senior vice president at this organization. And the shows that they had would define a generation.
Yeah.
They would define a generation. As I think back to my own youth and American Idol, and, as we talk about this idea of instant fame in the United States and this idea of kind of being an overnight celebrity, it came from American Idol.
Oh, I know.
This concept of if only they knew I was as good as I am, and then maybe they'd put me in front of millions of people so they would know too, maybe I can become a star, right? This reality TV, this going through the behind the scenes, the casting calls that no one would ever see that were now a part of major television. The shift, the reality components of Big Brother, of Survivor, this, oh my gosh, people are not being perfect on TV.
Voyeurism
Yes.
that took over for all of us, whether it's Big Brother and now we had little cameras. Celebrities
Yes.
started come over where it's like, oh gosh, we're in a celebrity home. It was this whole shift of, if you look at that, sitcoms were on their way out.
Yes.
Okay. Friends, Seinfeld, Frasier, all these. And this new sitcom were reality shows. And then eventually, you'd say, why do you watch The Housewives of, I'd see focus groups say, because
Yes.
it's funny.
Yes.
So,
and very unpredictable. And
the other thing that happened was the production model. As
I see.
expensive as these shows could be,
right.
nothing compared to scripted television, which took years to develop, produce. So all of a sudden, once all these unscripted shows
Yes.
hit, train had left the station, the studios, the networks were now going to fill their schedule with half that. Why? Because it was a less expensive product.
Wow. And that's something I think that the consumer, and as we look back on that time frame and just the shift that was happening, and now as we're kind of back on this other end where you're starting to see, which is very interesting, right? This return to,
I know,
some of these like Netflix and Hulu and some of these other spaces, they're starting to remake these shows, right? Now, of course, they're doing it with much smaller budgets, and it's a whole different model, right? Because
Whole
it's
different
on their
model.
platform, and understanding the economics of television and all of these different things. It's just interesting. But
was
you were
interesting.
on
I
the
happened-
curb.
To be honest, some of it is, walking through that door of opportunity, but it's also luck. It was right place, right
Mm,
time.
Yes.
Risk adverse market. I tell all my business students, we all know, everybody, when a buyer sees that someone else said yes to a product, and in
Yes.
this case, if I was selling a show that was already a hit in the UK
Right.
or Holland
Yes.
or France or Germany, it gave them more confidence to go to their higher ups and go, hey, it's a big hit in 3 countries. So, and there's something visual. So that was my job.
Yes.
To buy and sell television formats. Very common now, not so much then. But also my job was to get the 7 major production territories. We were a global company.
Okay.
So US, Australia, Scandinavia, Germany, France, Holland, and the UK to share ideas.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So that was also a skill set where it's like, I'm going to help people get along.
I say, okay. Okay.
So that was a big piece of my skill set that if you look back at my childhood,
Yes.
walking into a room
That's right.
to try to get people to get along or be less serious and be creative, it all paid off.
That's absolutely amazing. And, you get to this point where now you are, again, you were international as a producer and a writer before because you were traveling around doing these documentaries and everything. But now you're in boardrooms all over the world and you're with executives and you're at that high level. What did that feel like for you to have started really, honestly, just kind of coming out
you're
there?
so in it, there
Yeah.
isn't any time for reflection.
Reflection,
Because
yes.
you're working 70 or 80 hours a week and you are traveling internationally. And the irony of that success.
Yes.
You know, you're making more money, but you don't have any time to spend it or go on a vacation, right? That's
And
the
everything's
irony
paid
of
for
life.
too for you too, right? I mean, you're
Flying
staying at the
first
nicest
class.
hotels, your first class, you're
You know you're over it when you're in a Ritz-Carlton in Versailles and you really want to be home in bed watching Law and Order with a slice of pizza with your husband. Okay, you know you're over it. You've hit a wall.
oh my goodness.
But what I will
Versailles.
say is what's so interesting
Yeah.
as a creative, and then so I'm making a bigger paycheck. There's probably a handful of people at this point in the, around 2007, 8, 9 of people that did what I did at that time. And but now I'm in boardrooms. Now I'm in budget meetings.
Right.
Now I'm dealing with lawyers and accountants.
Mhm.
And wow, that is not my sweet spot. I learned it. I did it.
Yes.
Because you also need to have a salesperson and creative, but I started to get burned out.
I
So
see.
that was the enigma
I
of my
see.
success.
I see.
Is it took me away from being a performer, being an artist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's oftentimes, it seems, what happens as you move up that ladder,
Mhm.
right? Is the very thing you love doing, you do less of, but you orchestrate how the company does it, right? And so you're having to sit through meetings where they're doing contract reviews and you're like, just get it done, right? I
Please.
mean, there's accountants who are like, this doesn't really fit, but, and you're like, oh, trust me, it will eventually, right? And you're having to help people better understand why the decisions that you're making are the better decisions. And that becomes
I
challenging.
was managing people. At one point, I oversaw $12 million overall deals with producers. And my job was to help them come up with ideas and sell them into the marketplace. So I had this international piece.
Yes.
I had the selling into the US market. And then I was managing who was all men at the time. It was all executive producers who they had deals with the company. And so I became increasingly unhappy or numb because I was no longer being that creative.
I see. And so so how long were you at that organization?
10 years.
10 years. Okay. So from about 2004 to 14, around there?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. So 2004 to 14, you were just going and participating in a lot of meetings and doing those different types of things as an executive in that space.
On the road 40 or 50% of the time.
Wow.
You start realizing, wow, I'm not really engaged in my life. I have this great husband and I have these friends. I never go anywhere. As when you're a couple and you don't have kids, you always go, yeah, but we could drop into Italy for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I went, but we never do.
Right.
Because there's not time.
Right.
So, for various reasons, the management changed.
Okay.
And it became very, it became emotionally abusive.
I see.
There was a lot of misogyny.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was because I was heading toward 50 and it was like my BS meter ran out.
I see. You're
right?
like done with it.
I was no longer that 35-year-old going, I'll do it. Pick
Right.
me.
Right.
And so I did transition out of Fremantle, not knowing what I was going to do. I have a lot of these chapters in my life going, what am I going to do? But I guess you use the word adaptability. It's the number one soft skill, I think, because I think life is our ability to transition.
Yes.
We don't work in an insurance company for 40 years anymore and then get a watch.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
We have chapters, same skill set. Like you'll see, I was a performer, writer, producer, and then an executive.
Mhm.
But in a way, I really was working with the same skill set.
Definitely.
And it was shortly after that, my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Mm.
And my mom, they were in their 80s and said they could no longer come out and visit. And they were always in LA.
I
was
see.
the hub.
I
So
see.
I had a choice to make and I was ready to make it.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, when we come back to our next segment, we'll talk about Julie's transition from the West Coast back to the Midwest. This is where she comes back, and this is where this current chapter starts, and where she really uses that master's degree that her family wanted her to get. And we still haven't heard when that comes around, but we'll get right back to that once we get back here on the Law of Lift. You're listening to Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
Looking for a fun way to give back? Join us for the 2025 Kicks for Kids Nebraska Fun Run Walk, presented by Pinnacle Bank, on Saturday, August 23rd at James Arthur Vineyard. Enjoy a scenic 5K through beautiful grounds. Every step helps provide shoes to kids in Lincoln and Lancaster County schools, with options for adults, wine included, and kids. Registration fees include a t-shirt, medal, and bag. Sign up today and make a difference at kicksforkidsnebraska.org.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Play ball! Ready for summer fun and ballpark vibes? Bring your pack to Haymarket Park for a thrilling season of Lincoln Salt Dogs baseball and unleash the fun. From May through August, the Lincoln Salt Dogs will be playing and the park will be popping with all the food, drinks, and fun you need for the perfect night out. Grab your friends, family, and coworkers and make plans now. Visit saltdogs.com to secure your tickets. Come on out to the park and unleash the fun.
Hey racing fans, this is Brie Marie inviting you to join me and James Rowland for the finish line every Sunday night from 7 to 8 p.m. Catch up with the local dirt track drivers, national racers, and everyone you need to know about in the world of racing. Don't spin your wheels, hit the gas, and join us Sundays at 7 p.m. for the finish line on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids. First, I hold my hands out like they're on a steering wheel. Then I look over my shoulder. Next, I put it in reverse. Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Now back to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right, Lincoln, Nebraska. You're listening to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. I have a wonderful, wonderful guest in the studio today, Julie Uribe, and she's been telling the story of her journey from Nebraska out to California, and now we're to that point where she's coming back to Nebraska. She's taken some risks out there as far as taking jobs that, didn't necessarily immediately as they were presented to her seem like they would have been the best idea. However, she had faith in her ability. She had faith in her creativity. And I really want to drive that point home with you all that, sometimes you do find yourself in situations where there's a great opportunity that's in front of you, and it may not necessarily look flashier than where you are, but you have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe that, sometimes taking that step, that leap of faith, can be what really does help you accomplish your dreams. And, oftentimes we feel like where we are may not necessarily be where we're supposed to be. And that's just, I think, a part of life. But always, think that you have that confidence to take that next step. And to be honest, once you take that step and you leave what's behind you behind, essentially you're letting go of something so that you can grasp something else. And so there's so much of a lesson in that. And Julie's been great today in just talking about those leaps of faith that she took over the course of her career, where she felt she was not necessarily, thriving the way that she wanted to, and she's been willing to make a change. And so now we're talking about the change that happened at the edge of being in LA and needing to come back. And there were some family reasons for needing to come back as well. Your very supportive unit, your family, who it sounds like spent a lot of wonderful time with you out in LA, they needed you to come back to the Midwest. And so tell us about that transition back to the Midwest.
Yeah, you'll hear through my story, there's always the thread through my parents. It was very tough in the beginning. I was very lonely, very close to my parents. And, but they always came out and stayed for extended periods of time. And, when you're in your 20s, 30s, you don't think about your parents no longer being able to get on a plane.
That's right.
And so in 2015, my mom, my dad were in their 80s. Dad's now cognitive decline, Alzheimer's. And my mom's eyesight's declining. And while her mind was incredible, a little unsteady.
Yeah.
So standing there Thanksgiving and in my kitchen in California, Dad and I, we'll be unable to travel anymore. And it was like, it just hit me.
Yeah.
And it took me a couple weeks, but I saw it so clearly. I have to move back to Lincoln. I'm going to be honest. All my friends and colleagues thought I was in the middle of a nervous breakdown.
Wow.
They're like, you love California. You love Los Angeles. You love the entertainment. It's evolved. You use the word flash. You think of glamour. It's not that glamorous.
Yeah.
It's not that. I don't know that there's any field that's glamorous when you're in the trenches.
That's right.
And sorry if that sounds cliche, but it really was about family. I said, I can't imagine a life where I drop in at Christmas and 4th of July and my dad won't know me anymore. So this is where marriage vows
Yes.
kick in.
Yes.
Tom, got to move to Lincoln. Now, he was getting burned out in LA. He had road rage. I mean, LA is not the LA. Well, it isn't the LA 10 years ago, but it definitely was not the LA that we both moved to. He also moved to LA from Detroit in the mid 80s. So the town had changed.
I see.
And so I think it was easy for him. And thank God, because my friend said, what happens if Tom hates Lincoln? He loves Lincoln, loves Lincoln. He loves the fact that he can pull up in front of Home Depot and get a parking space right in front. We'd go to a restaurant and he'd say, the manager keeps asking us if we're doing okay and if we need anything. What do you think that means?
Right.
And I went, I think it means, are we doing okay? And can he bring us anything? So he just loves the vibe and the people and the whole thing. But what are we going to do? My husband's an artist, a fine artist. And he worked with some celebrity clients and I worked in television. So what are we going to do here?
Right.
So again, it's about transition.
Yes, it is.
Adaptability.
Yes.
But we still have the same skill sets.
Yes.
Right. So university makes sense. But I don't have a master's. Oops. Remember that?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Oh, mom and dad were right. So we bought a house very close to where they live because we were able to enjoy a chapter with my father, and he and I alone. And while anyone that knows, if they've had a loved one with dementia or cognitive decline, there are different chapters.
Yes,
of that.
there are. Absolutely.
And so in some ways, it's very difficult for me to talk about without getting emotional.
Mhm.
But thank God that idea of moving back to Lincoln took a
Yes.
hold of me. Because I can honestly say this last chapter,
Right.
going on now, it'll be, this is our 10th year, be 10 years next May, has been truly one of the most creative and rewarding chapters in my life. And I think I can speak for my husband too. He's really enjoying an incredible chapter creatively, and I'm not on the road. So he has his wife.
Yes. Yes. You have the ability to be there now.
So you go, okay, how does that work? Higher ed, they really like people with masters and PhDs like yourself, a lot of smart people. But there happened to be an opening as a grader at the Johnny Carson School. People are like, what are you doing? You're an executive. And it's like, I'm a grader. So what? I think you have to get out of your own way.
Yes.
It's just like the executive that was willing to drive to LAX
Yes.
to try. I truly believe in there's no small task,
That's right.
and a work ethic of I'm going to make it happen. Just do it. I really believe in that. We've gotten away from that a little bit, of the word or the notion of sweat.
Yes.
Sweat isn't how much money can I make? What can I get away with without hard work or rolling up our sleeves? And that is the antithesis of my experience of a path to success. It may work for others.
Yes.
So it's like, yeah, I'll start grading. And then that came from, now I'm the advisor to the improv group. Now I'm teaching a few acting classes to non-actors.
Yes.
And you know what reignited my love of theater? Now I'm teaching big auditorium classes, intro to theater. You haven't worked as hard to walk into a room of 18 and 19-year-olds
That's right. Yes.
who not only don't know Broadway or walked into a theater, and start getting them excited about live theater. So I took it on as a challenge.
Yes.
But most people did not want to take that class. So it became, give Julie, she'll do it.
I see.
So
once
that's-
again, you're running back to
just
LAX
running
to hit
back.
up FedEx,
I'm going
right?
back to LAX. And I looked around, and after about a year or so, and you and I have talked about this, I went, wow, the campus is really siloed. So I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start my own program. I'm going to raise some money,
Yeah.
$200,000. I'm going to start a program called We Are Nebraska, where I recruit students with diverse backgrounds. Sure, race, orientation, socioeconomics, religion, but also small town, big town.
Yes.
Hey, East Campus, business call. I can remember going here. The only thing I knew about East Campus was they had an ice cream store.
The dairy.
So I think diverse can mean a lot of things.
It can.
And
Yes.
I'd have 12 to 14, and they weren't actors. Some of them had never been on stage, but I used applied improv. This is where my grandly, and we'd put on shows around campus where real people were telling real stories.
Wow. So all of a sudden, you're back to your roots as an actress. You're back to your roots in improv. You're back to your roots in reality TV.
I know, right?
Right? You're just using all this stuff, and you're still that energy ball that comes into the space, and everybody can
Same
have
skill
the
set.
opportunity. Same skill set, right? Now you're back to the variety shows that were put on over in the Wedgwood neighborhood, right?
Yeah. And they were people, and what was so, because they were like, so are these theater students? And it's like, nope, these are pre-vet. This is, ag, journalism, accountants. These were and some with very complicated stories
Absolutely.
of suicide ideation,
Yes.
living with HIV. Not everything was that dark. It
Right.
might be, what's it like to date online in this generation?
Yes.
So it was, and then I'd always infuse poetry, rap, music, and dance. And I think the fact that they were quote unquote non-performers,
Yes.
I think, well, you saw the show.
I did.
I think
Yes.
that's where everybody went. I know that person. I've known them for 4 years and they've never spoken in class.
That's right.
And now they're telling their story and singing and dancing.
Right.
What's happening?
It was just such an interesting and innovative concept. And I thought, honestly, and I've just had the opportunity to reflect on this recently, that it really was, in a way, as we were trying to essentially thread this needle of doing work where people could get to know other people's stories. And we're talking about these concepts of like diversity, equity, and inclusion and things, right? It was a very unique way of presenting that in a very
Empathy?
genuine way. Yes. And so people could step into that space, they could feel what that person feels and hear what that person thought for that moment. And then they walk away with a different perspective. And so it was really unique. And I absolutely enjoyed that show. I mean, it was just amazing. And again, like you said, there was some dancing components. It was, it really felt
Art. It's the notion that art, empathy doesn't mean you agree with.
That's right.
It's an understanding.
That's
And
right.
we would always make the point that not everybody on this stage agrees.
That's right.
But guess what? There really is more to life than politics. Food, travel, music, poetry. There are ways. And I believe deep in my heart that we need to be able to collaborate and work with people that are very different from ourselves. I think it's essential.
And anyone that is listening and you are working in a space where you recognize that there are people who are different than you and you have to accomplish the same goal. It's this concept of teamwork, right? It's accomplishing a goal with people who are different, who have different skill sets, who might approach things differently with different perspectives, but we're all in this together. And so I think that as you listen to Julie talk today about her journey, and you think about your own journey, and you think about all the different challenges that you've had to overcome, and sometimes when you don't feel like doing something, but you still have to do it, or other times when you're supporting someone else to try to get something done that they don't want to do. I mean, it's all about us supporting each other and finding ways to overcome challenges. And so, Julie, tell us a little bit more just about how the pandemic changed everything when it came to people's communication skills, people's desire to interact with other people. Talk to me about, because this is 6 years into your journey back here in Lincoln that the pandemic hits, and then all of a sudden everything changes again.
Incredible. And I, as you can imagine, was all about how do I stay in person? I was not, the hybrid was not a fit for me. I quickly said, if I have to be hybrid, because some students, international students, were not here,
Right.
I would actually teach twice. I would teach the students who were in person, whether I was over at the lead because they could sit 6 feet apart with Matt. And then I'd run home and then do a separate Zoom so that my whole focus was everyone
I see.
on my computer.
Wow.
For me, the hybrid, I never felt that I could honor
Yes.
either the in-person students. So I did both. And then in the fall of 2020, myself and a accountancy professor, PhD, brilliant woman. Her name is Dr. Amanda Gonzalez, an incredible partner and colleague. We were asked for accountancy scholars to create a class to increase confidence in soft skills. It's like, okay, in the pandemic, and we're not supposed to be in the same room and we're wearing masks. So I thought to myself, I'm going to take them outside. We went over by Nyhart, and I just thought, those were the days where if you were 10 feet apart, you could take your mask down.
Yes.
And so we just did it. Amanda concentrated on the writing, I concentrating, and I used applied improv, which I used from the Groundlings. The goal wasn't to be humorous, although sometimes it is, but to use the improv principles, yes and mindset, avoid denial, listening. There's nothing better in the world than being heard.
Absolutely.
supporting your partner,
Yes.
and the mindset that there are no mistakes. What would any of us do
That's right.
if we thought it wasn't a mistake? What would we do? What would we come up with? What would we create? And it's those principles that now I use full time at the College of Business.
That's amazing. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Law of Lift on 93.7 The Ticket. Julie Uribe's talking about the transition of this course from where it was just a separate performance to where it became an actual class and something that will continue to grow. And she'll continue talking about that after we get back. But what you keep hearing is adaptive behaviors over the course of her life and just always being able to find her purpose in the space where she is. And so you're listening to 93.7 The Ticket, The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters and our special guest, Julie Uribe.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
This is how we do every day. We be grinding, and if you want to come and text us,
If you love them enough to turn off your music and pretend like their music is your music,
This is Mommy's jam.
then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Let's play it again.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
When you live a tobacco-free life, you're free to live more fully. You're free to be more active and to breathe easier when you are, to be more present with family and friends, and to enjoy food and drinks more fully without nicotine dulling your senses. Tobacco-free can mean better physical health, mental health, and financial health. Giving up tobacco can give you more life. Learn more at quitnow.ne.gov. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska, aired in association with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I guess it is 15 years old. Hi, I'm Austin with Roofing Service Company. We help homeowners with their roofing and siding projects. Financing options are available, and we can get you under a new roof no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
Hey Husker Nation, this is Todd Euler, two-time national champion, here to talk to you about Window World Lincoln. At Window World, we specialize in replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing. Whether you're looking to enhance the beauty of your home or increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part. We offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at windowworldlincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes,
their age,
the way they speak.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Bank Strong, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back, race fans, to the finish line every Sunday night. I'm James Rowland. Join Bree Marie and me every Sunday from 7 to 8 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket FM or theticketfm.com for the finish line. All the latest news for local and national motorsports, all in one place. 93.7 The Ticket FM.
Now back to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right, Lincoln, Nebraska, you're back. You're listening to the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters today, 93.7 The Ticket. I have Julie Uribe in the house today, and just wanted to take a quick minute to give my guy, Aaron Davis, AD, a big shout out. He's listening out there. I really appreciate the kind words, AD. Make sure you listen to his show, and if you ever have the opportunity, just make sure you connect with that man. He is a very bright, gregarious, and just all around amazing dude. And so, AD, thanks for listening. And everybody else that's listening out there, really appreciate you all. It's just amazing to have the opportunity to share positivity with people across the world on this medium. And so this has been truly a joy for me to have the opportunity to talk to Julie and hear her story today from the very beginnings to where we are now. And so we were just talking about this change that happened after the pandemic and talking about soft skills for people in different spaces. And we all know soft skills are one of the major things that a lot of employers are seeking right now in the people that they hire. And so Julie, once again, was ahead of the curve when it came to, having a course through Applied Improv that teaches young people how to interact and how to pull more out of themselves, because that's what we have to do sometimes, right? If we're going to adapt in a space, we have to be willing to try something new. And I think with the pandemic, it kind of pulled us apart in a way where people just really started feeling a lot more anxious about interacting with people in a personal and humanistic way. And so how does your class continue to develop and evolve, and what does the future look like for your class?
Well, it's so exciting. And thank you for, I personally am not ahead of the curve. Harvard's been calling Applied Improv the secret sauce at their business school for a long time, but who was ahead of the curve here at University of Nebraska-Lincoln is Dean Kathy Farrell, Dr. Aaron Crabtree, Dr. Lori Miller, my boss over at the accountancy school, Dr. Jimmy Downs, and my colleague and dear friend and partner in crime in this work, Dr. Amanda Gonzalez. They saw how important it was initially with the accountancy majors.
Yes.
Hard skills, great. Soft skills need help. And then we all know what happened when COVID hit.
Yes.
I mean, all of us, myself included. I was affected. I was disconnected. So started out outside, started out more sections. It was mandatory, or trust me, these beautiful students never would have taken this class. But what they found out is they loved it. And they started saying, wait a minute, where was this training when I was a sophomore?
Right.
I could have used it. That's when I was interviewing for internships. And the other outcome that I don't think any of us realized, including me, there are a lot of students that show up on campus. Maybe they live, off campus and they show up for classes or take online. They don't make one friend.
That's right.
They don't know anyone.
No one. Yep.
A lot of times these seniors, they knew the faces. They've been to classes for 4 years with these folks, had not spoken to them. So in addition to the soft skills, listening, team building, fostering trust in small groups, eye contact, these kinds of things, it was, my God, I'm connecting with people. I'm making friends.
Right.
Oh, this is what networking. You might find your soulmate or your business soulmate.
That's right.
How many people have said, well, I met so-and-so in college and we started this business. And
that's right.
You got to talk, you got to connect. So this has been going on for 5 years in the count and really exciting. And I just signed a contract to now mom, dad, who lost dad in 2022, just lost mom a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Really one of the hardest things I have to go through. But I'm making their dreams come true. I'm a college professor. full-time at UNL. Starting in fall 2026, every sophomore at the College of Business, regardless of their major,
Wow.
will take this training.
Will take that training. And that's absolutely amazing. And I just happen to have a daughter who is, in the business college and will be continuing on her journey there. And Julie, I want to share my gratitude with you today for being willing to come onto my show and share your journey with all of the listeners. And what I've learned as I've continued to work on this show and meet the wonderful people like yourself that come onto the show is that everyone has a story, everyone has a journey. There's a lot of connections, there's a lot of pieces that make us who we are. And I appreciate you taking us along that path today and talking about all the challenging things that you faced and how you're able to overcome those things. There's so much more to the story, of course, but I just really appreciate you taking the time to be on this show and sharing your journey with individuals. And I know that your parents are looking down and extremely proud of you and what you've accomplished. And it's just amazing to hear the time and effort that you've put into other people now through this course and helping them learn these soft skills so they can go off and be successful. So thank you so much for being here on the Law of Lift today.
Thank you. I learn probably more from my students than perhaps they learn from me. So I'm so grateful. And Lawrence, you're one of the most exciting people that I've met since I've returned. And the fact we're on the ticket, I love the Pearsons, DP, shout out to Rebecca, that we're on a sports network because I come from a hardcore Husker Nation family. We have football tickets in the family over 100 years. So let me finish with always have a yes and mindset and go Big Red.
Go Big Red.
Whiskey Wednesdays, Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake. 93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I